What we're overlooking right now is 10 acres of Capitol Square. And the reason the city of Columbus is here is because of that 10 acres. The early settlement in Columbus, we'll talk about it when we go along the river, but obviously there was settlement here dating back 2,000 years. This was not an undiscovered place, and I think that's part of what we're talking about through this whole process. A lot of the names, the very name of Ohio is taken from an indigenous name. So there are lots of place names that are here. I guess there probably are a lot of people who live in the city who have no clue where the names came from. But this was open land here. There was, in 1797, Lucas Sullivan came, purchased property. On the west side of the Scioto River is the Virginia Military District. And what that was, the state of Virginia had claim to part of Ohio before it became a state, and it was for people who had fought in the Revolutionary War. Their payment was land before this was a state. So that has a very different history than this side of the river, which was not part of the military district. This was part of refugee lands, which was similar. People who were displaced or fought in the Revolutionary War got land. But this was not settled. And there was this little area called Franklinton that we'll walk around today, or walk over to. 1797, very, very small settlement. Ohio became a state in 1803, first state in the Northwest Territory, which is important because a lot of what happened in states as the country expanded was taken from what started in the Northwest Territories. Anybody know the 5 states in the Northwest Territories? Come on, Columbus people. Michigan's one. Ohio.
Pennsylvania?
No. Indiana. Illinois. One more.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so you kind of envision this part of the Midwest. It's east of the Allegheny. That's why Pennsylvania, people were actually able to get over the mountains and start expanding. This is where the westward expansion of the U.S. really got started. So there were some men across the river who owned land on this side of the river, and they made an offer to the state of Ohio and said, we'll give you 10 acres and we'll even build a couple of buildings that will be state buildings that we'll give to you if you make that site the capital of Ohio. And at that time, the capital was in Chillicothe in Ross County. Then it went to Zanesville for a while, but we didn't have a permanent state capital until 1812. And the state legislature said it was going to be there. And that's when it got its name Columbus. And we're still trying to figure out if the state named Columbus or if Lucas Sullivan and his people named it. We'll try to get that answer. I don't have that answer right now. But that 10 acres is the original 10 acres today. We will be walking around Capitol Square. It is the center of Columbus. That intersection, Broad and High Streets, that is where all the numbering system in the city starts. It's the 100% corner of Columbus. But what we're going to do is take a walk, because early on, major buildings were located around Capitol Square. And the first city hall actually was above the North Market, which is gone now, but was a couple of blocks off Capitol Square. The second one was located, you'll see the Ohio Theater better when we're walking around, because we'll get close to it. That's where the second city hall was, and it was burned. It burned down in the 1920s, and the Ohio Theater replaced it. But that was the opportunity to move it to the riverfront. And when we get to the riverfront, we'll talk about how that civic center developed, because that's a really important part of the history and the physical environment and the identity of Columbus. There will be one view you'll have that if you see an article about Columbus in any magazine, any newspaper, on TV, it will be from this one spot that's kind of the iconic view of the city. So part of what we want to show you today and talk to you about is early history, early 20th century history, what we have today. A lot of the interpretation of the history of Ohio and Columbus occurs just in a few blocks. And that's something to kind of think about. It's open space. It is the heart of the city. It's also the heart of the state of Ohio, which gives us an incredible opportunity, not just to impact Columbus, but to impact the entire state and what the state takes away from the work that we do here. So having said that, I just wanted you to kind of see that we're, right now, this is like, their offices are in the best spot in the city. And this fantastic view. So just as an overview, we're going to go down, we're going to walk along Broad Street, we'll point out a few things along the way, see where City Hall is, see where the Columbus statue stood originally, and then we'll cross the river. And when we're in the river, you get a better view of what the Civic Center actually is, what that means architecturally, physically, the open space, the land, the parkland. We'll cross over in front of Old Central High School, now the Center of Science and Industry, so you get a better view back toward the main part of the city. Cross the bridge, go to the departments. It was called the Departments of State building. It's now the Supreme Court Judicial building. And we'll look at the art. It has a lot of public art, contemporary as well as historic. So we'll take a look at the exterior, go in and take a look. Then we're going to come up here, and that Huntington building, that big tall building, we're going to have a coffee break. But from there, you get a view of the State House. We'll talk about the McKinley Monument and why it's facing out. We're going to walk around. There's another Columbus statue on the Capitol, on State House grounds. We'll look at some of the monuments around the State House and then go in the State House. So that's kind of the plan for today. It will take some time because we're going in places. We have to go through security in 2 locations. The Supreme Court's in session today, so they said it might take a little longer. It's a little like going through airport security. You can keep your shoes on, but it's, metal detectors. So any questions, ask questions along the way, okay? If you have any questions at all, we don't always know the answers, and if we don't know them, we'll get them and get back to you.
Nancy mentioned one thing was the refugee lands. There's an interesting story behind that. There's a whole book on the surveying of Ohio just before and after statehood and how the land was divided up. The refugee tract ended at the Saddle River. It was 5 miles north to south and about 40 miles to the east. And it was named that because it was land awarded to citizens of Canada who had supported the United States in its separation from England, and they were kicked out of Canada. They became refugees. They were awarded this land. Most of them did not come here and settle. They had land warrants that they sold to other people, and then the land went to others. But just that aspect of how the land was divided up early is really a fascinating part of the story of the state.
The one other thing I wanted to mention before we go, somebody brought up yesterday about the new World Heritage Site located in Ohio. I just wanted to give you a sense of what it is and how significant this is. First of all, the United States has, guess how many World Heritage Sites? Anybody want to take a guess? 10. 10. So this is one of the 10 most important sites in the United States, this designation. More important, there are only, it's like up there with the pyramids in Egypt and the Great Wall of China. This is a big deal. This isn't like the National Register or a local historic designation. This nomination took almost 25 years to get to the point where there was documentation and to actually have it approved. And I just wanted to mention that the timing goes back 2,000 to 3,000 years is what people are saying now. Archaeologists are still working on this. But Ohio has the largest number of mounds from this time period of anywhere in the world. So think about that history too as we're doing this. The 3 different sites were included in this nomination, and I want to get the title of it right. It's the Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks is the name of the listing. And it includes 3 sites, the Newark Earthworks, which are in Newark, about 35 miles to the east, Fort Ancient in Warren County, which is southwestern Ohio, and the Hopewell Culture National Historic Park in Ross County, which is about 45 miles south of Columbus, along the Scioto River. So it's along the same valley. I think this designation, it will raise the awareness of this period of history. I think it will change the way Ohio history is taught. I sure hope so, because this was never taught when I was in school. And I think it will bring people, because people travel internationally to World Heritage Sites. So it's not just going to bring visitors from close by. This is an opportunity for Ohio to really celebrate this heritage. So I just wanted to let you know what that meant. This took place just a few months ago. The meeting was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Chief Glenna Wallace of the Eastern Shawnee actually made the presentation to this world, it's UNESCO, made the presentation. So she's located in Oklahoma, and I think somebody was talking about Oklahoma the other day. That's where they're located, representing the indigenous people of the United States as part of this application. So that's what it meant. And I think it's a really big deal. In a very long time in the making. And even after doing all that research, there was no guarantee UNESCO would approve it. So it was quite exciting. The Ross County sites are owned by the National Park Service. The site in Newark is owned by the Ohio History Connection, which actually started out as an architectural and archaeological society in the 1880s. So they've been after this for a long time.